Happy Sunday, everybody. You're now listening to The Vault XL. Sarah, what in the hell is wrong with you? Sarah Boone has a problem, a very big problem. And it seems it's a problem she's making for herself deliberately. She cannot seem to get along with her attorneys. The sixth one has resigned. I will play you commentary pertaining to his reason for removing himself as Sarah Boone's attorney in court. Court TV is the source. This is some ridiculousness. I have to make up words for Sarah Boone because I don't know what the hell is her problem, but she's making this harder for herself. And if she wants to get this case under wraps, she needs to try to listen to what the attorney has to say. And you will hear that. You hear the lawyer, the judge is going to tell her, you may not agree with everything he or she says or the best recommendation for your case, but there are going to be certain things you don't have a choice about. Why is she firing and attorneys leaving? Because I believe she's difficult, she's hard to deal with. So then we have to ask ourselves, who is Sarah Boone? And what got her to this point of being charged with murder of a boyfriend, famous suitcase murder, boyfriend in a suitcase. She allowed him to die in there. And this is why she's in court going back and forth with attorneys. And she doesn't seem to realize she's just making the situation worse. If she wants to get this case onward and try to plead her innocence in the death of her boyfriend, she needs to try to comply with a lawyer and listen to what he or she has to say in their recommendations. See, where Sarah messed up is whether she put him in there or he climbed in there as a game, leaving him in there and then admitting you knew that he was in there. And then the suitcase had no way, there was no way for him to open it. That's where she messed up. Filming it also messed her up because it was data on her phone. Let's play this commentary pertaining to Sarah Boone and the sixth lawyer being removed. He recused himself of services to her, public defender, and now she has been given another attorney by the judge. This will make number 7. Count them, 7. She's yet to go to trial. This is the point. You can't get to trial because you keep firing and or they're removing themselves because she's difficult to work with. So as I said, you have to ask yourself, is this how she behaved in her life with her friends, family, boyfriend? Was she a difficult person, even though she was dating a guy who was a known drug user and abuser? Both have been accused of battery against one another. He is no longer alive, and he is the reason she is now standing trial for his murder. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $sign Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Please like this video, share it, make it go viral. Put your comments below the video. I also have a poll on my community page pertaining to Sarah Boone and other breaking news. Please take the polls. Hello, Painted Black. How are you? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, dear. Where have you been? Let's see what you all have to say. I got 10 votes on Sarah Boone. I just posted this 12 minutes ago. Should Sarah Boone represent herself? 20% said yes. 80% said no. One of you decided to comment. Miss Tiani 100 says, this woman is a nut. I cannot imagine her representing herself. Ugly face emoji, laughing emoji, double hearts to the queen. Thank you so much. Well, if she continues on this road, S100, she will be representing herself because I was trying to Google and find in the Quora Digest how many times you can be represented, be appointed representation. I believe the one lady who says she's a lawyer from Pennsylvania says there's no limit, but the judge is going to have to do something because you can't just keep sending people in. They go in a few months, talk to her, they fall out, she falls out, however it goes, boom. They decide, hey, next hearing, judge, I can't be her lawyer. Or she tells them, I don't want him or her. We're on number 7 as of last week. 7, the 7th lawyer has been appointed to, Sarah Boone. This cannot continue. So 80% of you say, well, it's changed now since I just talked to you. Okay. 33% said she should represent herself. 67% of you said no. In just that quick few seconds, it went from 80% to 67%. Very interesting. Thank you for taking the poll. Let's get down to business, everybody. Court TV is the source of this information pertaining to this nut. S100 calls her. Lord have mercy. Not a nice thing to say, but I just think she's messed up. And I don't think she got messed up because she got arrested and charged with murder. I think she always had some mental issues, mental problems. She met a guy who met her match, and now she's charged with his murder. Sarah Boone needs some serious help. I believe she needs some anger management. I believe she was just as unhinged as he was. And they were two peas in a pod, and sadly, he's not alive because neither one knew when to fold.
State of Florida versus Sarah Boone, 2020, CF 2603, state.
Dave Cacciatore on behalf of the state.
Frank Backwards. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Can I have JAC announce themselves as well?
Yes, Audrey Moore for JAC.
All right. So we have multiple matters scheduled this morning, one of which is Mr. Banquett's motion to withdraw. My reading of the law is I feel like I have to address that motion first and rule on that before I can address any other motions that would be heard today. So, Mr. Banquets, I'll start with you. Tell me why you're moving to withdraw.
Judge, the letters that have been coming to your honor, the derogatory berating of my services in this case.
Recordings just got better.
Sorry about that brief intermission. Forget about these commercials. He says he's being berated. He was berated by Miss Boone. One of his reasons.
I can't effectively represent her. She doesn't trust me. She calls me a dud, I think, a buffoon, on and on and on and on. And no one should have to endure that type of derogatory comments and expect to effectively represent someone.
Let me interject here. That is a Queen's word, buffoon. A word I gathered from a relative years ago. She's just a buffoon, a buffoon. Is she a buffoon? Is she a buffoon instead of saying he's a buffoon? This is what she's calling him. This is his version. She's calling him nasty names. She called him nasty names. I can only imagine the things she said to this older gentleman. And I guess he's looking at it like this. Hey, I'm here for free from the state to represent you. You've been accused of killing your boyfriend, allowing him to die in a suitcase. And I'm the fool, I'm the buffoon, I'm the idiot, whatever nasty words she used. I can only imagine. I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear her conversations with this attorney and the attorney before him, which would have been 5, the attorney before that one, 4, before that one, 3, before that one, 2, before that one, 1. Okay, you guys, I'm going to behave. Let's finish this.
Derogatory comments and expect to effectively represent someone, especially in a murder case.
Ms. Boone, I read your letter dated August 26, 2023, and your letter dated August 30th, 2023. Just so we're clear, I read all of the letters that you send to the court. Whether I respond or not is based on what's in the letter and whether I'm asked to actually do something that's within my purview as a judge or not. If I understand correctly, you have now decided that you think it would be best, in fact, if Mr. Bankwitz was allowed to withdraw. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you understand by him withdrawing, I'll have to appoint another attorney. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And that attorney's not standing here, so we're not going to be able to address, and I'll give the state a chance to talk to me as well. But assuming I grant this, we won't be able to address the other issues that were docketed for today, which means I'm going to have to reset your case for a later date. Do you understand that?
I'm not sure what items it is you're speaking of. I haven't received a copy yet of the letter.
So we also were having a hearing today in regards to authorization for payment for an expert that your attorney believes he needs to defend you in the issue about the compensation of that expert, which is why JAC is participating today. I don't know if your next lawyer is going to think that that expert's the right person to use, or whether they're going to go a different route after consulting with you. And even if they did, they're not standing here. And once Mr. Bankwitz is out, he's out. He can't argue the motion. So do you understand that?
I fully understand.
All right. Mr. Cacciatore, normally the state takes no position in these issues, but there are limited circumstances when the state doesn't take a position. So are you taking a position on this motion to withdraw, Mr. Cacciatore?
No, this would be one of those times where we would be not taking a position.
All right. So I'm going to grant Mr. Bankwitz's motion to withdraw. I'm going to appoint Attorney Winston Hobson to represent Ms. Boone. In regards to the other matters scheduled today, I'm going to take no action on them at this time until Mr. Hobson can, well, in regards to the motion involving JAC, I'm simply going to take no action on that motion at this point in time until Mr. Hobson has a chance to review it and determine whether he wants to proceed with that motion. I will address the pretrial because today was also supposed to be pretrial. Here's what we'll do. Let me just get my calendar up. As far as pretrial conference, I'm going to set this case for pretrial conference.
Hosting barbecues, parties, and get-togethers has made so
Oh,
much.
sorry about that. Let's take a brief intermission on this nonsense. Mr. Winston is now her attorney. Winston, I'm sure you don't want her. Maybe you do. God forbid, when he got the news that Sarah Boone would be his new client, I'm sure he was shaking his head and running to the nearest bar to get a fifth of whiskey. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. But this is the world we live in. The law says if you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. Now she's on number 7. Mr. Winston will make number 7. How does he feel? He can't say anything unless he knows her personally or had some entanglements with a friend or family member and would have to recuse himself. I'd love to be the fly on the wall when he got the news that he would be her attorney. And yes, we know that she zipped him up, allegedly, in the suitcase. And that's why I said that's where she made her mistake, was number 1, even acknowledging to the police that she knew he was in there. She was better off just saying, I don't know anything about it. But once they realized it was only she and he in the apartment, they examined the suitcase. There was no way he could zip himself up from the outside. There's your flaw number 1. Flaw number 2, he couldn't have unzipped himself because there was no room to stick his finger out of the suitcase. So this is where Sarah Boone made her, what's the word I'm looking for? Mistake. The suitcase showed he had to have been zipped up by an outside party. And number 2, he couldn't have crawled out on his own because there was nowhere for him to put his fingers to open the suitcase from the inside.
I'm going to set this case for pretrial conference on Tuesday, November 28th, and the trial period starting Monday, December 11th. I think any earlier period of time would be unrealistic for Mr. Hobson to get on board, get up to speed with the discovery, and determine how he wants to proceed in regards to any experts. But I will set a status hearing on the case prior to that.
Hit me now. Hit me. Let me interject with Miss Hippie's comment. If only the law would allow someone to administer the same pain that was given to the victim and then give it to the defendant, we probably have a lot of less people incarcerated. Just fast judgment, fast eradication from the earth. No waiting for the death penalty, no waiting for a needle to the arm, electric chair, firing squad. We have proof you murdered this person, tortured this person, allowed this person to die. We now give you the same sentence as you gave your victim. If only it would be that easy. Status hearing, competency. Someone asked about that in the chat. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking this witness that the judge is speaking of is possibly somebody to evaluate her mental state at the time of the crime. But as he's trying to explain, he's going to explain to her all this back and forth with lawyers. You're just making it worse for yourself, because the last lawyer who just recused himself was supposed to be getting an expert to do something in her case. Due to the fact of what was going on in the case, I'm assuming it would be a mental expert to weigh in on why she allegedly did this crime or did not do this crime. Unless they're going to bring in a suitcase expert. I don't know. But I'll go with the latter, possibly a mental expert. But now, because this is about to be pushed back on the burner, they've got to now do all this status hearing, then a pretrial hearing. And these are things that were supposed to have been taking place last week in court. But because she wants to play these mind games, she's just holding up her own fate, which I don't understand, especially if you sat in jail a year or two. Seems like to me you want to get on with it. You want to get out of this situation. Plead to the court. I'm crazy. I'm not well. I'm not mentally stable. I've been abused so much I can't think. I can't act. Sarah doesn't know how to do that. Winded letters, writing to the judge. He acknowledges that he's gotten them, but he's also going to let her know, hey, there are other people that attorneys have to represent, so you can't get one-on-one treatment when you want, because these defense attorneys also represent other clients. Will she understand that from now on? We'll see. Hello, Patricia. Thank you for joining me. The judge is pondering. Wayne C. Wooten is the judge.
I'll set a status hearing on the case Monday, October 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m. That'll be for the purpose of making sure that Mr. Hobson's on board, some sense of where he thinks things are, how realistic he thinks the November pretrial is, any other matters I need to address with him at that time. Now, Ms. Boone, in just a minute, they're going to take you back to the Orange County Jail. I'm going to suggest that you talk to Mr. Hobson about the various other issues you raised in your letter dated August 30th, 2023. One other thing I want to talk to you about, we had this conversation once in the past. Clearly, your working relationship with Mr. Banquets was such that it deteriorated to the point where the two of y'all just couldn't work together to defend your case. So I'm not going to try to referee how that played out, why that unfolded the way it did. But one thing I want to caution you about, if this becomes a problem on another court-appointed attorney, I'm going to look more closely at what the alleged disputes are. You have a right to a court-appointed lawyer. There are certain decisions a defendant gets to make in the defense of their case that are absolutely theirs, such as whether they go to trial or not, such as whether they testify or not. But there are many decisions in a case that a lawyer gets to make. And while you certainly have a right to consult with your lawyer and discuss with your lawyer, they don't automatically just do whatever you say. They use their professional judgment and experience and look at the evidence, look at the law, and do the best they can. Also, you've got court-appointed counsel. As I explained to you before, court-appointed counsel rarely have the luxury of representing one person and only having one case to focus on. I have concerns that your expectations of what any court-appointed counsel might do as far as spending time with you and the depth and degree of communication may be unrealistic expectations. You always have the right to retain a lawyer to represent you, and then that's between you and that lawyer. You can demand whatever expectations that you have as part of that agreement. But when it's a court-appointed lawyer, you have to accept and understand that they have other cases, other courtrooms, other responsibilities. And I'm cognizant of that when I'm addressing these types of issues about communication. So that's just food for thought, nothing to do today. I don't need a response from you. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of that and were thinking about that as we proceeded forward. So again, the court meant to reflect that I'm court continuing pretrial. I have granted a motion withdrawal. I have appointed Mr. Hobson to represent the defendant, and I'm taking no action on the motion, the ex parte motion for cost directed where GAC is responding. Ms. Boone will be returned to the Orange County Jail pending disposition of her case.
Am I able to say anything?
That's his information.
Court TV is the source. So at the end, she asked, so I can't say anything? I guess not. Oh, mercy. Where do we go from here? Sarah Boone. Let's dissect what was said just now. Thank you all so much, 33 viewing. Hippie, tell me why you now believe in the death penalty. What's so special about this case that Sarah Boone should qualify for the death penalty? Because usually the death penalty is entered in capital offenses, and that's usually when they are so heinous and egregious that the state would ask the court for death to be a recommendation. I will put that on the community board. Should she receive death? Matter of fact, I'll do it now while I'm talking to you all in the viewing audience. Thank you for joining me on this wonderful Sunday in the high 10. Blessings to all of you. Please have a wonderful, safe, prosperous week. Fall is fastly approaching. Amen. Sarah, what in the hell is wrong with you? Why won't you cooperate? The judge was very diplomatic during this hearing to let her know her situation, acknowledging the lawyer declining to be the client, declining to give her services. She's on number 7. Mr. Hobson is now her new attorney. I would love to hear what he has to say. As I said, if only I could be a fly on the wall when he got the news that he will now be representing Sarah Boone. He also says he's going to look into this situation with the new lawyer. If something is to arise, what are the issues? Well, I'm going to say this to the judge. Judge, if you have been the judge since day one pertaining to Sarah Boone, you should have already asked that question lawyers ago, because you're now on 7. You just appointed 7 last week, number 7. We know about the lucky number 7. Shut your mouth. She might act right with number 7. But Judge, you should have been inquiring about what was wrong with number 1 through 6, 1 through 5, rather. As we say in the street, day late, dollar short. indeed. What were the issues with the other attorneys, Sarah Boone? Sarah Boone, had you walked away from this relationship, you could be out freely drinking, smoking, gallivanting around in Florida, basking in the sun and sand. But you've done like many of us, played the fool and continued onward with another fool. Is she narcissistic? She appears to be a little self-righteous and a little cocky, but that's why I'm asking the question. Are these attributes she has acquired from being inside this jail, wanting out? Don't like the representation she's getting. They're telling her things she doesn't want to hear, recommending things she doesn't want to do. I won't doubt that they probably have told her she should plead because of the video, the infamous suitcase video. Sarah, you need to just take a plea. We plead insanity, duress, stress, PTSD, something, so we can get you in the prison, short term or probation, and get you to freedom. Did any of the attorneys ask her to take a plea? That's what I'd like to know. This last attorney, who seemed very worn out by Sarah, did he tell her, honey, you're on video talking to him, cursing, calling him names. You seem to be enjoying him being in the suitcase. It appears that you deliberately left him down there, went to bed or whatever you went to do, came back, opened it up when you felt like it, knowing damn well he'd be dead. You need to take a plea. Did someone offer her a plea? And that is the problem Sarah has had with her previous attorneys. They want her to take a plea because of the video. Now, let's ask ourselves, what is she going to do? Act right, fly right now, take the judge's recommendation. They've got to get someone to probably check her out, see what's wrong with her. Can't do that because you keep firing and people keep removing themselves. So I don't know how many times she's fired somebody or how many times somebody removed themselves. When I get that number, I'll bring it to you. Please go to the community board to take the said questionnaire. Should she represent herself? How many times is the judge going to keep appointing somebody? I need an answer on that because I was trying to Google that answer. Had a problem trying to get a definite answer. How long is this going to go on? Hello, T. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to bet my bottom dollar that was the recommendation by every attorney. The video is ironclad. You're in it talking. He's in it pleading for life. Take a plea. So if she was asked, why didn't she take it? Because possibly she's, as I said, she, as one of you said, a narcissist, full of herself, self-absorbed, probably got some mental issues, probably has been beat down, torn down by life, men, that guy, and she rode the ride. See, this is what you don't want to become, is a Sarah Boone. Let me make that clear. Anyone can become a Sarah Boone. You get caught up in the madness and then some shit jumps off and now your foot is in the trap. And this is why a lot of people have been brought up on charges because they spazzed out. And I'm not saying what she did was right, but I think on that fateful night, something transpired between the two. Maybe not. I wasn't there. And she said, the hell with it. Yeah, climb in the suitcase. Let me see you get in there. Because for all we know, he actually climbed in there. They're drunk, they're drinking, goofing off, acting like silly children. And maybe she felt some type of way when he got in there. Let's just say he climbed in there. Let's go hypothetical. He climbed in the suitcase as a gag. And then she started watching him squirm at some point and realized, I'd like seeing him in the suitcase. Let's make this MF pant a little while. Stay woke, everybody. Let's just say she got a jolt, which some of us are going to believe that she did because of how she talked to him in the video. And I think that's possibly what happened. He climbed in. She finished zipping him up. And then she realized, I got his ass now. Thank you. You helped me out. And she began to taunt him. And naturally, he's tired of being in the suitcase. Minute 1, minute 2, however long it was. Sarah, let me out, okay? Fun's over. Oh no, honey, we're just beginning. What about this? What about that? Remember when you did this, you said this, and all that comes flooding back. And you see, you can get to that place when you have been exhausted by another two-legged creature. This is why I'm saying a lot of us could be a Sarah Boone. You may not think you can get in this place, but I've learned from my own personal experiences. I've put my own foot in my mouth by saying what I would never do. I ain't going to do that. I ain't going back into that mess. And yet I'm right back in the mess, dealing with a two-legged creature. And that's usually when shit jumps off. When you know you're dealing with a violent person, a person with a bad attitude, nasty attitude, vile tongue, bad temperament, you're asking for trouble. So the more she dealt with him, the more he dealt with her, this was the final result. Yes, she enjoyed it. That's why she filmed it. That's where she messed up. Him not having a way to unzip the suitcase. The suitcase can only be zipped from the outside. All that's been determined by the forensic team that studied the suitcase, and her filming, talking to him while being in the suitcase. That brought down the house of cards for Sarah Boone. A lot of the true crime you see today, such as this story, is a lesson learned. This is why I talk about these subject matters. And I always tell you to imagine yourself in the shoes of whomever. The guy in the suitcase, Sarah Boone. Imagine being either or. You can get yourself wrapped up and be in the same situation as the boyfriend or Sarah Boone. This is why I say you got to know your limit. Just like you got to know your limit with food, alcohol, and tolerating bullshit from people. Because either can hurt you. Eat too much, make yourself sick, get diabetes, heart trouble, stroke. You see where I'm going, everybody. Drink too much, you're now messing up your organs, your liver, kidneys, blah, blah, blah. Going back and forth with a violent creature, you're both acting out violently. There was going to be a jump off. And when he got in the suitcase, voila, magic. There you have it. Yeah, I'm watching you squirm. This is my glory moment. I got you where I want you. And I didn't have to beat you up. I didn't have to shoot you, strangle you, suffocate you. Well, kind of, sort of. I got you where I want you. This is why I tell people you have to be very careful of the company you keep. Letting things exacerbate to madness. And that's what happened with these two. Madness. See, it was already bad with the fighting and the calling the police and both going to jail, and he's using drugs and they're drinking, and it was already a volatile situation. So as I've said before, as experts have said before, you know there's going to be a jump off at some point, because where else can it go but downhill? Can't go anywhere else. It can't go anywhere good. And even in her sick mind, she may have told herself, deluded mind, he's going to change. He's going to change. I love him. He's going to change. I've supported him. You heard her talking, telling the police how she supported him with him going to trouble, bailing him out. See, that was the setup for what happened with the suitcase. See, this is why, she is never going to have to admit this to you. But she has sat in that jail and pondered everything she's done pertaining to that boyfriend from the day they met until the day she found him dead in the suitcase. Why did I stay? Why did I stay? Why did I keep forgiving him? Why did I keep spending money on him? Why was I living with him? Why was I drinking with him? Why was I tolerating this? Why was I fighting him? Why was I doing this? You know damn well she's thought about that. Only a fool would not have thought about those things. But she does not have to admit it to you or detectives, the court, or the attorney. Well, she may have been already messed up. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is that we don't know Sarah Boone. And perhaps her being in these volatile situations with him tainted her mind. To where on that fateful night, she just said the hell with it. And we know people do this because we see the stories every day on Court TV and Law and Crime Network. People, they bow out. Does not mean it's right, but they bow out. This is why I tell myself, you don't want to be one of these people. Because if you keep going back in, you will become a Sarah Boone. That's my message today. You will be a Sarah Boone or you will be a dead boyfriend, dead girlfriend. You keep riding the ride. We're all guilty of it. May not be extreme as far as violence, drinking, drugs, but tolerating bullshit endlessly, you can be pushed. And we all judge people because we haven't been in that situation of allowing someone to die in a suitcase. But you have possibly been in a situation where you kept dealing with someone that was violent, that kept pushing you, hitting you, and you still forgive them, go back, don't press charges. It's the same damn thing. Nobody's died yet. Oh, he's just pushing shoves. He would never suffocate me. He would never strangle me. No, he ain't done it yet. And you ain't popped off yet. Stay woke. See, this is why Sarah Boone did it. We fight, he fight me, I fight him, we fight each other. And then the one day when, as someone in the chat said, Miss T, when she realized she had the upper hand, she took advantage of it. This is why a lot of people are murdered when there was no altercation. There was no beating. There was no shooting. There was no, nobody pulled a gun on them and then they retaliated and picked up a bat or something. I got you where I want you. Your back is turned. You're asleep. You're sitting in a chair. You're reading. You're passed out drunk. Now I go get a gun, shoot you, beat you with a bat, suffocate you, put a pillow over your face. I got you where I want you. Finally. Yes, she enjoyed it. But see, there's a build-up. And as I said, I'm not making any excuses for what Sarah Boone did. Because yes, we know that she could have bowed out, but she didn't. She bowed out the wrong way. That's the difference. She could have easily walked out. I don't want to be with you anymore. You got to leave. Go find somewhere else to stay. I'm done. I'm tired of this back and forth with you, fighting, going to jail, blah, 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 bailing you out of trouble. We're sinking sand together. You have to tell yourself that you're worthy. This is where we mess up. We don't tell ourselves we're worthy. I deserve better than what I'm getting. I deserve better than what I'm putting out. I deserve better. He didn't tell himself that, and nor did Sarah Boone. And now she's standing trial, will go to trial eventually for murder. And the video, yes, says everything. Besides the many attorneys, of course. I won't doubt that would even be brought up by the defense. By the prosecution, excuse me. How many attorneys have you had, Sarah Boone? Why so many? Will she testify on her behalf? I won't doubt that she will testify. And that's possibly been a contingency of argument between she and her attorneys. I want to testify. I want to tell him the truth. I want to tell everybody what he did to me. I want to tell everybody how bad he treated me. I want to And they probably said, no, you're unhinged. You won't have self-control. They will shred you to pieces, Sarah Boone, because you don't know how to contain yourself. And all it's going to take is the wrong question, remark. She pops off in court, and that will definitely be the end of Sarah Boone. Should she receive the death penalty? for killing the boyfriend? Should she get probation, depending on how many years she's already served in the county jail? What should be Sarah Boone's punishment? Can anybody in the viewing audience have a little bit of sympathy for Sarah or no? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Can you sympathize with Sarah Boone? That she was abused, battered, mentally defunct, popped off. Because I tell people all the time, when I read comments below the videos, Facebook posts, I can earnestly and honestly say that when you read the comments, a lot of the people posting are 1 second from being a Sarah Boone or the boyfriend. Take your pick. And somebody says, never say never. Never say where you're going to go, ain't going to go, be, who you ain't going to never be with, date, marry, what you won't tolerate, put up with. Because I've done it. I've judged people, say, well, she shouldn't do this, he shouldn't do that. And then I foolishly go back in with people I have no business dealing with. You don't know people. And when they show you their hand, as Maya Angelou once said, when they show you who they are, believe them. Now, the Christian side, if you believe in God and you're a Christian, he tells us to forgive. But where we as humans mess up, we keep going back in. That's not in the scripture. There's nowhere in the scripture that says, go back in 7 times, 8 times. Turn the other cheek, he says. But he didn't say, keep turning the cheek. You can be a Sarah Boone. You keep going back in, forgiving. You end up a Sarah Boone. You end up a dead boyfriend. You have to know when to fold. That's why we have the true crime cases out here. It's because somebody didn't know when to stop going back in. Each a willing participant to deal with the other one. When they know, they don't mean them no good. It's all the same. Abusive boyfriend, abusive girlfriend, abusive spouses, abusive children. Tolerating. Now somebody's dead because somebody didn't walk away. And then we have those situations where it doesn't matter what your decision making is. If the person wants you dead, he or she will make a way. Whether you move out of town, go into hiding, they find a way to find you, and then they exact revenge. This could have been avoided, this suitcase crime. He should have left her alone, or she should have left him alone. And I do believe that she possibly has a drinking problem as well. And then the two both drinking, and he's also using drugs. That's a deadly combination. And all it takes is one wrong comment. Now we're arguing. Now our voices are elevated. Now somebody's spitting fire off their tongue. Literally. And then here comes a blow. Now we have people fighting one another over probably absolutely nothing. AJ says she will never accept responsibility. Why do you say that? Tell me why. One second. Let me go to my community board. See what we got going on over here. Sarah's. Now, as I said, should Sarah Boone represent herself? 39% of you said yes. And then 61% said no. Okay, we'll put up the next poll. You can go on over here to the community page. I'm going to put up this poll here. Should she get the death penalty? Because some would say that was cruel and unusual punishment. All right, everybody. Go over and take the poll. I bet she does testify. Yes, I think she wants to testify. That's probably what the issues are with her attorneys. And I doubt that she's been evaluated, because if you're firing all these attorneys or they're removing themselves, you couldn't have gotten an expert to look at her yet, because nothing has gone to an official hearing, pretrial, all that. They haven't even gotten to that yet, because all this back and forth. That's probably the expert that the judge was speaking of, that the last lawyer was wanting her to have, but because she kept badgering him and bad talking him, he removed himself. So see, she's holding up herself. Oh, nonsense. Just absolute nonsense. Got a lot of crazy things going on. I see also a case Court TV has mentioned about the young girl who stabbed her mother. I have not opened that up to see what that's about. That sounds very, very scary. I'm going to continue my commentary pertaining to Mr. Murdaugh and the jury members. We're going to possibly dissect that tomorrow. Let's dig deeper in the belly of the beast of these jurors. Are they retaliating against her? Let me put up that as a poll as well. Let you mosey on over and take that poll, because I think it could be possible. The jury is upset with Miss Hill for writing a book. They feel like they're the only ones that should be talking about the trial, and maybe they're in their feelings about that. So they're retaliating. Let's put that up. It's a very good question. Becky Hill. I have to remember her name. One second, everybody. All righty. Take the poll. It's coming out now. 1 second. No sympathy. Life in prison. Here's a question I want you all to go over to the poll to take on my community board. Are the jurors retaliating against Becky Hill with true or false allegations because she wrote a book about Murdaugh trial? Please take the poll. Thank you for joining me. And thank you all for tuning in. Also, should Sarah Boone receive the death penalty? Let's go over a few more of my polls I've posted pertaining to breaking news, and then I'm going to let you all go. We can get back to business. Also, the Gabby Petito's parents have been offered a settlement. We can chop that up eventually. Still things in the queue about BTK. And it's Ruby Frank. There was a YouTuber, 8 passengers. A lot of people talking about that. Is she having an affair with this woman that's her business partner? I'm kind of curious because where is the father at? How is it that you're a father of children and you don't know that your children are emaciated and shrinking by bone and flesh? I find that interesting. Is the father out of state, out of the country? What's his role? Because as someone said on one of the news entities, he hasn't been arrested for child abuse, child neglect. Why not? Say what, honey? Been wronged. Oh, when you've been wrong, you walked away. Okay. That's your best option. So you don't end up, as I said, a Sarah Boone or a dead boyfriend. It's common sense. I don't know if I want to talk about this YouTuber business and the children because I don't like talking about kid stories that much. It's always something going on. Crazy nonsense. Jesus. Did Rebecca Hill speak ill, give up info of Alex Murdaugh trial to jurors or others? 44% of you said yes. 20% of you said no. 36% not sure. Should Rebecca Hill be charged with jury tampering? Yes, 82%. 18% said no. And a few of you spoke in that video, under that poll. If she's found guilty, yes, she should be charged, naturally. Should a court clerk speak about a court trial afterwards? 16% of you said yes. 84% of you said no. And let me address this too, because sometimes you all get a little jiggy when I do these polls. I do these polls to get an idea of how you think, because as I just said pertaining to Sarah Boone, a lot of people are just 1 minute away from being a Sarah Boone and or the dead boyfriend. So I post these polls to get your opinion on the subject matter. Some of you get very offended by the questions. Why? I don't know. Because you can't talk about true crime and then question me while I'm questioning you about a case. It makes no sense. That's the purpose of the question, is to get an idea of how people think. Because as I said, a lot of you think like these people out here perpetrating crimes. And I just said it. You'll either be a victim or you'll be a defendant, one or the other. But I asked that question about her writing the book afterwards because perhaps this is a retaliation from the jurors. I don't know, because I don't know what's the truth. Someone made a comment, oh, well, what's the point? The point is, did she talk during the trial? Well, maybe it's deeper than that. Maybe the rabbit hole goes deeper than she said something to the jurors. Or maybe she gossiped with some people. Did she have a personal vendetta against that jury member? So you got to ask yourself the obvious questions. This is a small town, Colton County, South Carolina. She knew of Murdaugh, his wife, his kids. All those people knew each other. Could this be personal with Becky Hill and Murdaugh? They said he and his family carried weight in the town. Could this be her shimmering up to the jury members because she wanted him to go down for killing his wife, whether he did it or not? I don't like him. I don't like his family. They've been in the legal business here. Lawyers, this and that, money, rich, wealthy. The rest of us are just poor white folks barely making it. You all better stay woke now. You see, sometimes things are deeper than what you think they are. Could this have been a personal vendetta from this clerk? I need 5 minutes of fame. I want to be important. I want to be seen. I want to be noticed. I want to be validated. I want to count. So she was moseying up, smooching up to a jury member or two, said something. They kept it on the back burner. But when she went and wrote the book, started being seen on different news entities, the judge even going to the Today Show or her going to the Today Show, maybe they felt some type of way like, damn, they didn't even wait. They ran to the news. We're the ones that made the decision about Alex Murdaugh. Pay attention, everybody. Was this retaliation from the jury members? The judge and Miss Hill, are they two peas in a pod? Because who's to say, as I just said, this was personal for Becky Hill to bring Murdaugh down? Number one, personal vendetta, personal feelings about he and his family and their character and their weight in the community. Because I've heard that on different platforms. They had heavy weight in the community for years. Not 1, 2, 3, but generations. Well known in the community, very wealthy people, well off, had clout. Did the jury get mad at her for opening her mouth? Do they feel like she was stealing their spotlight, whether they wanted to be known as jurors or not? One guy on a TV show, court show, saying, well, who's to say, that the defense attorneys didn't say something to these jury members? About what? They already made their decision. There's nothing to say once they said guilty. They have no reason to go find the jury members. The lawyers know that would be unethical to reach out to jury members after they've rendered a decision. So that's no different than her ruining her reputation if she was tampering with the jury. It's tit for tat. As somebody said to me in my comment section, oh, I'm not trying to be argumentative, but why would she risk her reputation? Are you really asking that question? And you expect me to respond? Why not? As I always say, don't ask why not. Because she's a clout chaser. She wants attention. It's obvious. You listen to her in her interviews with the news, she sounds too gleeful considering the circumstances of a man murdering his family. Oh, all these people came here from all over the world and they wanted to see the trial and they wanted to see where they lived and they wanted to see our town and the courthouse. That doesn't even sound professional from a clerk. If I didn't know the case was about a man killing his family, I would think this was just a tourism video of a apple festival or pumpkin festival, if you see where I'm going, coming from the mouth of Becky Hill. She was too gleeful in speaking to the news about the trial and people coming there and the town drawing attention. Yeah, you got attention for the wrong damn things. This man killed his wife and kid. What is there to be ecstatic about? Oh, welcome to Colton County. This is where a man killed his wife and kid. Oh, we have a wonderful town. Thank you for coming here. That doesn't sound morally right. It is clout chasing, and that's my opinion. Because I do something that a lot of people won't do. I listen. I went into the YouTube queue to see who else she had been speaking to. And it's more than one, more than two. So this doesn't sound like somebody who could possibly keep their mouth shut during trial. As somebody said, she's very personable, easy to talk to. She loves telling stories. Well, why wouldn't I think this same person with those qualities wouldn't go schmooze up to a jury member and or tell something about the trial to a personal person outside of trial? See, you don't know what's the truth. You don't know if these jury members are lying. You don't know if she's lying. You don't know if she went and lied on that juror that she got dismissed. You don't know how far down the rabbit hole, how far this hole goes. And I got a sneaky suspicion there's more to this story than just made up allegations against Becky Hill. And that's my personal opinion. Because let me tell you something. She denied to the co-author, Mr. Gordon, who helped her write the book, that she ever said anything out of the way to the jury. Because he denies it. No. She said she never said anything. She never said anything. So what I find strange is you were speaking on her behalf. She hasn't spoken publicly with or without a lawyer. And now we have these allegations that, yeah, she did. And I think the one reason possibly if these jury members are telling the truth about Becky Hill, smoozing up, canoodling up to one or two or however many, they didn't want to hang the jury. They didn't want a mistrial because they would have to start all over again had they brought these allegations out against Miss Hill. And then I could see the judge favoring Miss Hill again and getting rid of those jury members and this possibly getting pushed under the rug. Because as they said on Court TV, these people were possibly scared to rock the boat while trying to reach a verdict about Alex Murdaugh. And they just rode the ride. And even one of the other defense attorneys said, oh, yeah, we did see Hill talking to one of the jury foreman. We didn't think no more about it. That's why I said I knew something was off. How is it nobody ever saw this woman talking to the jury foreman? It's BS. And if she talked in front of the other ones, the other jury members in the private jury room, then they weren't there and they saw it. Now, did they hear every conversation? I don't know. Are these allegations true? I don't know. But yes, they need to be looked into. And as far as somebody ruining their reputation for tampering with the jury, why would you be shocked at that? Explain that to me. Why would she ruin her reputation? Why not? Because maybe this was the plan all along. I'm going to be the clerk during the Murdaugh trial. I'm going to gather all the information I can by memory, take notes, and when the trial is over, the verdict's been read, I'm going to go find me somebody to help pen a book. End of story. I'm going to get me 5 minutes of fame. I'm going to get me some quick money. Because as I said, when you listen at Ms. Hill talk and speak about the trial, because I've not listened to every interview she's done, but the few words I did hear her speak, she's too gleeful for my taste due to the fact this was a heinous crime against two people, a mother and a son. And if I didn't know that this was the clerk for the Murdaugh trial, I would think we were talking about something else going on in the community. And that's what's disturbing to me. Her attitude about the trial itself and giving information to the public, she sounds too happy. And as another woman who spoke on the Court TV panel, she read the book, and her assertion of what she read was that everything was about Becky, 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 Becky. Me, 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 me. Now, naturally, one could say, flip side, well, she's giving you her assertion of herself, what she experienced, what she saw while being a jury member. I mean, not a jury member, but a clerk, excuse me. See, and I slipped up right there. But then maybe somebody wants to hear more about Murdaugh, the witnesses, what he looked like, how he acted, how he behaved, which if you watch the trial, you can say you saw it for yourself, but there's still nothing like firsthand knowledge of someone who was in the courtroom. I think the book was written for self-gratification. That is my opinion. And in the end, that's all it is my opinion and my interpretation. And that's what life is about, interpretation. What you see, I don't see. What you hear, I don't hear. That's what makes us different. And my assertion is that she's a clout chaser. And it doesn't matter that she hasn't got an expensive book deal from a major publishing house. That's not the point. The point is she probably was hoping to get, because that's the gist of the story. What I hope to get and what I get are two different things. I hope somebody will reach out and help me write the book. I hope somebody will offer me a big lump sum of money in advance to write a book. See, there's the difference. $30,000 they put out to self-publish, you're going to get that back at least 5-6 times over. Because now people are going to be curious to see what's in the damn book. Whether the book is good or not, whether the assertions are truthful or not. People are still going to be curious to what's in the book. Well, let me go buy it. Let me see what Becky said, what she's talking about. Let me see that she sounds like she's clout chasing. Let me see if she sounds genuine, has integrity, as Mr. Gordon says about her. And a lot of people may be thinking that's fishy as well, how she and Mr. Gordon came to know each other. His wife just so happens to go to the courthouse, bumping into her, they take a picture, and he's an author. And she's talking to this woman about writing a book, and the woman's husband is an author. Now, do the math. Come on now. I want to thank you for your time. Have a wonderful week. I will post a movie of the week. I put 2 up there because I forgot to post one last week. Forgive me. But for those of you who are movie enthusiasts, The Equalizer 3 with Denzel Washington is now playing in theaters, and also The Nun 2. is out. So I'll go ahead and put those up for my suggestions for movies to see at the picture show that are brand new for your delight. Scary Fans, Nun 2, Action, Denzel Washington, Equalizer 3. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the stream. Thank you, Miss Hippie, McCleary, T, Painty Black. Thank you all for joining me, Lady Lolo, and others who I've missed, and those who are just listening in and did not comment in the chat. Thank you for viewing this live stream. Please make it go viral, make it count. Please take the polls on my community page. I'd like to hear how you think. You are allowed to comment below the survey questionnaire. Give your opinion. I will be back with more conversation pertaining to Becky Hill and this Alex Murdaugh debacle. What is the truth? Who's telling the truth? Who's lying? Who's making up anything? And those are the questions at hand. Did she tamper with the jury? Number one. Did she lie on an innocent jury member to get her dismissed? What are the receipts and facts to why Judge Newman released the juror? Did she ever talk to anybody in the public about the trial? Did the jury member actually talk about the trial to people in the public? Those are the questions. And will we get the answers? You're welcome, sweetheart. You all have a wonderful evening. You have been listening to The Vault XL.